Hi, I've been asked this evening just to tell you a little bit about my Christian story. I became a Christian over 20 years ago now. And at the time, God really brought me to a point where it really felt like I had come to the end of myself. I was just really conscious of how sinful I was, that my life was really falling apart, and that I needed both to be forgiven, but also needed the power to live a new life. And I called out to God in that broken place, and he answered me, and he forgave me because of what his son Jesus Christ had done for me on the cross. But as I said, that was over 20 years ago, and obviously life has gone on since. And God, at the time, it felt like God had given me my life back. Things were so much better when I knew him. I knew I was forgiven. But he never promised me that life would be easy, that nothing would ever go wrong. I've never suffered disappointment or loss. But there's a song that we sung a few weeks ago in church. It's a Graham Kendrick song called "For This I Have Jesus," and I'd really encourage you to have a look at it, have a read of the words, have a listen on YouTube, because it just covers every sort of emotion that we might experience as we live this life on earth. And for each of those experiences, we have Jesus. And one of the things, there were so many stories I could tell you about how God has met me in the different emotions that song and that many of us will know that we've experienced in our lives. But one of them that I wanted to share with you was an episode where I felt particularly disappointed. Now, the story in itself, it could be many more, and there's some that maybe were more disappointing to me, some less. But I think it's something that we can all maybe relate to. Life is full of big and small disappointments. So it's an episode that happened actually a few months ago, but I share it because of how God met me and changed the situation so profoundly. So I work in a hospital, I'm a doctor, and I was offered an opportunity, or asked if I would like to go and actually do some teaching in another part of the world. And it would have been a really quite an amazing opportunity to go. But at the time, I just felt I couldn't just say yes straight away. I needed to think about it, I wanted to pray about it. There were some safety issues. There were other considerations about time. I wanted to talk to it just about it. So I went away and gave it quite a lot of thought and prayer. And it was a few days later where I'd really felt that I definitely wanted to do this. It's the right thing to do. I was really, really excited. And I was starting to make plans about how wonderful it's going to be. And so I emailed the person who'd asked me, and quite quickly he came back saying, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Didn't I tell you? I asked someone else at the same time as you, and they've come back to me and said yes. So there's only space for one person." And I was just so disappointed, so gutted about the fact that I, hadn't even wanted to do it, or wasn't sure I wanted to do it. And I decided I did want to do it, and then it was taken away from me. And I trudging up the hill on the way home from work, feeling really disappointed that day, feeling really despondent, feeling probably quite envious about the person who'd got there first, just disappointment, and really struggling with that and asking God to help me to deal with those emotions. And I walked past a couple of churches on my way home from work, and it was November, early December, so there was lots of sort of Advent and nativity things happening. And there was a church that I walked past, and it had a really simple nativity scene in it. All it was this black cardboard cutout of it, like a silhouette of the nativity. So it had the wise men and Mary and Joseph and the shepherds and the star, but they were all looking, the focus of everybody's attention was on that little manger and that little baby. And God just broke through into all the stuff, all the turmoil in my mind and my heart, and just said, it's just about him. That's what it's all about. And it didn't, I didn't get to go. There wasn't an amazing story that it all worked out in the end, but God just met me, and I can't really explain to you how I felt, what he did, but I can tell you I didn't trudge home in the disappointment and the turmoil that I'd been going up until that point. And I just wanted to read just a few lines from that hymn, because I think it starts with, "For the joys and for the sorrows, for the best and worst of times, For this I have Jesus. For the dreams of all I hope to be, the truth of what I am. For this I have Jesus. And that's just a little bit of my story, and I hope and pray that it will be yours too.